this weekend, Venus enters Gemini and comes into a sextile with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Our world is changing, and our relationships, our values, our desires are changing right along with it. I'm just going to get these planets marked on this chart for the sake of clarity. My hope is that if you enjoy following along with the chart, if you're learning astrology or interested in learning astrology, that these notations on the chart are helpful to you. And if you just like hearing about the astrology of the weekend ahead, that this video works for you as well. That's always my intention. Okay, let's talk more specifically about the astrology for the weekend of July 4th through 6th, 2025, and what it signifies for all of us. This astrology report is relevant for all signs. So on Friday, we're coming off of the Venus-Uranus conjunction at the end of Taurus. And I spoke about this in my report for last week because what I really want to talk about today is Venus moving into Gemini. But that Venus-Uranus conjunction is very much active on Friday. And since this report covers Friday through Saturday, and I think that maybe some of the things that happen with that conjunction could be affecting now, I just wanted to mention that that conjunction may have brought some sudden shifts in relationships, in finances perhaps, or just in our values and our desires and what we really want. You know, Venus was very comfortable in Taurus, but that conversation with Uranus was a little bit intense. So for that reason, I think on Friday, we might really notice that shift into Gemini. In terms of the way we feel and in terms of the way we're relating. We really can't separate this sextile here. We can't separate Saturn and Neptune. These planets are very much together right now. And Neptune is newly retrograde, which I also spoke about in last week's video, but bringing in this extra dreaminess and desire for expansion, revision, inspiration, spirituality. And Saturn is going to be retrograde soon. So they're really pulling on this energy pretty profoundly because not only are they together, but they are retrograde or about to go retrograde. You know, a sextile can be sort of a subtle energy, but because of just the movement of the planets and just where everything is right now, I don't really think that this one is as subtle. And even if it is subtle, even if it is sort of a bit beneath the surface, it's still important. You know, there's a lot of start energy right now. And often when we're talking about astrology, myself and others I notice will say, okay, think back to, you know, spring of 2008, what was going on for you then? This energy might be like that. Think back to summer of 2024, go over to, we can't really do that right now because there's so much new happening that we're really at the beginning of these longer cycles. So you'll start to hear that in a year or two again, but right now we're doing things for the first time. So Saturn and Neptune are newly in Aries. Neptune will be here until like 2038 or something. And this is the first time that Venus has come into this sextile from Gemini with this Neptune in Aries. And for it to be happening with Saturn there too. So while in a way, this is kind of a sextile, like I said, sometimes I might not even mention a sextile. I think it's really important. Okay, so here are a few things that this might feel like this weekend. Excuse me, taking a sip of water. There's a fresh start energy, but with structure. that initiating fire of Aries is meeting sort of the discipline and the structure of Saturn, and Gemini at the early degrees and an enthusiastic sextile. Gemini at the early degrees is so curious. So we have this initiating fire from Aries, the discipline of Saturn, and then the curiosity of Gemini and the enthusiasm of a sextile, right? So what an amazing fresh start, but with a bit of structure, a new. And when I'm saying the beginning of something beautiful, the start of something beautiful, it doesn't have to be the absolute start you've never ever begun before. It could be bringing a little bit of a different mindset to something that you've already begun or is already underway. It could be a new way of integrating the relationship. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a new job or moving into a new house or a new relationship. It can be sort of more subtle than that, um, but nuanced, but significant, right? Like you could, the idea of a new mindset is coming to mind for me. I think because of Gemini, it's so cerebral, and then Venus as well, like a new way of relating in some kind of way. But uh, it is a great time for starting something new in terms of relationships. And I think too often we forget the relationship with self piece of that. So it's a great time for starting something new in relationships with others and also with ourself in terms of self-worth and the way that we're valuing ourselves and caring for ourselves and relating really to ourselves. It's a great time for starting something new creatively. Whatever is begun now, it has the quality to really last with this energy, with Saturn and Neptune. You know, there's really the potential for it to last for quite a while. Um, there's sort of something serious about the commitment because of Saturn, something long term and lasting. But then it is also a lot of fun because of Gemini. Gemini is so social and playful and light. And so, you know, Venus here is so flirty and playful and fun. So while we have that, the idea that this could really last, whatever this new thing is, whether it's a new relationship, a new project, a new mindset, whatever's getting off the ground this weekend has the potential to really last. And it also has sort of a fun, playful, creative, curious energy to it. Um, I also want to mention that sextiles are opportunities, but we have to use them. They're opportunities, not guarantees, is the phrase that sticks in my mind for it. That helps me remember with a sextile. It's an opportunity, not a guarantee. So it's something that we have to lean into here, right? This isn't just going to happen to us. It comes from within to some extent, and it comes after some focus, perhaps some calm meditation, perhaps some going within in some kind of way. Whatever we're building right now, we are actually building it. This isn't a story of something that happens to us. It's a story of something that we are doing. Um, yeah, I mean, the energy is very good for the early stages of an endeavor, for bringing clarity about that and structure. But it could also be that we're just having a new sort of vision for the future. This is a bit of an alternative. Instead of actually starting something new, the starting could be the vision. You know, Neptune in Aries is brand new. And it is bringing this new dream and vision in the Aries part of the chart. If you know your chart and you know where Aries falls, what new thing is trying to happen here? Because it's just a very, especially the early degrees, it's a very active part of the chart right now. So we have this new dream and this new vision with Neptune, and then Saturn is helping bring it to life. It's giving it the structure to like actually exist in the world, this dream that Neptune's bringing. And then this weekend, Venus in Gemini is sort of bringing that vision into our conscious awareness a little bit more. And it could be through our desire, through our longing, through our vision. So be on the lookout for what you are wanting, what you're desiring, what you are starting to envision for yourself, what you're starting to long for, because there's a way in which this dream that's being built in a way that can last, that can be sustained, could be still a little bit beneath the surface for us. And this Venus is helping bring it into our conscious awareness this weekend, potentially. It's incredibly imaginative and idealistic, this connection. It is the kind of transit that can elevate Venus qualities. So it can elevate love. It can elevate creativity. It has a very dreamy quality to it. It sort of can make things more beautiful with Venus here. But then it's also got this Aries quality, this new thing that we're imagining and idealizing about, being idealistic about. It's got this Aries quality of being original, of we're having an assertiveness behind it that maybe we might not always. So it's quite the combination of the energies. Yes, the inspiration and ideas that we're having right now, the things that we're attracted to this weekend can feel very urgent. There can be that urgent sense, and that's an early degrees thing, but I'm almost still pulling on the conjunction from Uranus with this. Although it's off sign, Uranus is still right there. And next week, Uranus is going to shift into Gemini. So these two are aware of each other. So there can be some Uranus influence here as well. Like there can be something sort of unconventional in a way about what is feeling urgent. You know, like I said, you might feel sort of inspired or attracted to things or have a new idea that feels quite important and right now. And that idea could be a bit unconventional. It could be a bit trailblazing. You're moving forward and you're wanting to move forward in an empowered way. This energy, this signature is very much wanting to move forward in an empowered way, almost feeling the urgent need to move forward in an empowered way. You might feel sort of spiritually connected to it. You might feel sort of spiritually connected in relationships to someone, or you could meet someone new where it's just sort of uncanny the way in which you have something in common. There could be like a shared interest or a shared cause or just a shared bond with someone new that you meet, or this kind of an aspect can just suggest this real spiritual connection in relationships. You know, there's ideas here and there's passion here. Ideas are coming in from Gemini, and they're so dreamy and new and different and amazing because of Neptune. And then we have this passion from Aries and from Venus. So both new ideas and passion are sort of at a 10 out of 10 this weekend. So that's sort of helpful to know because that's a very interesting combination of potential. And again, you know, there's just a way in which it could last. There's something lasting about it. Like the things that you do or say this weekend could have a lasting impression on others. The things others people say or do with you could leave a lasting impression on you. It's not just about building something new. It's about leaving these lasting marks. And that could just come in the form of sort of interactions. You want to use your logic and your intuition to navigate the landscape this weekend is another note that I wrote down, right? Both are very much online. So logic and intuition can be employed to help sort of navigate different choices that you might make this weekend or interactions you might have with others. I love Venus in Gemini. You know, we haven't sort of disconnected it from everything else in the chart. Well, I guess I did for a second, but I like Venus in Gemini. It brings a lightness and a fun, a playfulness to relationships that is really nice. It's very playful, very flirty, very fun. And then Neptune is bringing in sort of a visionary, bold energy to this playful, flirty fun. And then Saturn is bringing in sort of a practical or a pioneering energy as well, especially up in Aries. So that's just an interesting combination for sure. Communicate with sensitivity this weekend. Communicate with honesty. More and more, these signatures are showing up around the importance of authenticity. And I think that we don't talk about the nodes enough. Our nodes are here, South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces. And it's probably the most important part of the chart, you know, and I think because it doesn't have a planet name, because not everyone's really that familiar with it, we don't talk about the nodes as much as we should. But that signature, along with Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus about to enter Gemini, there's just so much happening in terms of needing to be authentic, needing to communicate with others in as real a way as possible, understanding the importance of evolving relationships through really being ourselves, wherever the chips may fall, you know, and that is the way in which, part of the way in which we can sort of move into the energy this weekend. Communicate with both real honesty, but also sensitivity to others. These energies are really cooperating with each other for sure. We have change, you know, with Gemini. And then we have that sort of pioneering energy and enthusiasm with Aries. Aries and Gemini get along quite well in that way. They're both sort of up for a new good time. Gemini loves change just for change's sake, and Aries is just excited to start something new and just excited to be excited. Aries is always bringing the enthusiasm. You know, and then Neptune is bringing in sort of dreams and emotion, and Saturn is bringing maturity and focus. So such an interesting combination there. Venus is pulling it all together with values, with beauty, with relationships. And I think because everything's at early degrees here, we really are talking about new cycles, the beginning of energy. New relationships or new mindsets or ideas in relationships, mindset shifts, new creative projects. You know, we have this supportive guidance from Saturn and inspiration from Neptune. So we're sort of building and dreaming at the same time here. And also just to mention, anytime we have Gemini involved, there could be two of something. 2 phone calls, 2 parties, 2 options, or more. There could be that duality associated with it as well. So I'm going to link here at the end to a video about Jupiter in Cancer, because that's an energy that's super important this weekend, but I didn't talk about it in this report. And I'm also going to link to the week video from from last week, because those energies are still active on Friday, and that's worth considering. And also be sure to check out the horoscopes on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, you would enjoy that too. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.